Good morning. It's a great day to see God's glory revealed in the midst of great darkness. Um, Yesterday, I talked about the Elijah Jezebel showdown and the First Kings 16 narrative, where state sanctioned sexual immorality, state sanctioned shedding of innocent blood of babies, a resistance and persecution of the church, seeking to destroy the prophetic free speech of God's people. This is the context in which we are in now, as it was in the days of Elijah, Ahab, and Jezebel. When we look at the book of Malachi, and I'll just look at it for a moment, in chapter 4, it says this: Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So before the wrath of God and the judgments of God are manifested in the great day at the end of the age, God says, I'm going to send you Elijah the prophet. In other words, how it was in the days of Jezebel and Ahab, when Elijah appeared, so shall it be that there's going to be a cosmic worldwide manifestation of Jezebel, Ahab's governmental syndrome, antichrist spirit, and in the midst of it, God is going to raise up a corporate Elijah. I believe a voice with power, signs, and wonders, and the confrontation of the powers of darkness that have never been seen. In fact, the Jewish rabbis literally taught that everything in the story of Elijah will actually be replayed. Every part of his life will be replayed in the end times. It's interesting then that when Elijah does a 40-day fast like we are on, when he does a 40-day fast to break the curse and the spell of Jezebel, I believe the 40-day fast can break the spell of Jezebel, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. That 40-day fast, the Spirit of God spoke to him. God spoke to him, and he said, go anoint Elisha. The next generation of prophetic signs and wonders, evangelists, reformers. I believe that we're in this time right now. A transfer is coming to the next generation, and what power will be on their lives. And they'll seize the high places of the nations, the 7 mountains. We don't believe in complete dominion in this age, but we believe that when Christ comes, all dominion will come to him. But in this age, we are to occupy, not sit around, take ground for the kingdom. The second thing that God spoke to Elijah on the mountain was, go anoint Jehu. A governmental anointing that would actually, like Jehu, would sweep away the antichrist spirits. The house of Jehu was such power, was such zeal, and it wouldn't be like it was in the Old Testament with Jehu killing the house of Ahab. I believe it would be a reformed government, a government that moves with Judeo-Christian foundations, and there will be an uprising to actually challenge the Jezebel systems that are going on right now in this nation and the nations of the earth. I believe we're in that moment right now, and the Lord anoints Jehu. Now notice that Jehu is not a righteous man. He's the commander of the armies of Ahab. He's a man trained to kill. And God says to the prophet, go and send the son of the prophets and anoint Jehu. Tell him he's going to sweep away the house of Ahab because of the bloodshed that has been done through Ahab and Jezebel's government. I believe, and it's interesting, God anoints a man named Jehu, and he says, and he's not a righteous man. In fact, after he sweeps away the house of Ahab, he remains in the sins of Jeroboam, and God had to deal with that man as well and his regime. But God anointed him. I want to speak concerning 2 things. There were 2 kings in the Bible, Cyrus and Jehu. Cyrus was a wicked man, the king of Persia, but God raised up Cyrus to actually help the Jewish people to return to Babylon and rebuild the temple. God chooses a man who is not righteous. He's a king of Persia. He's probably got harems. He executes people at the drop of a hat. Just look at the book of Esther. This is the kind of man that we have. And yet God anoints him and says, Jehu, I have chosen you. I have anointed you. There's a difference between when God anoints a man in rulership, it is not always because of his character. It is because that the man is anointed to do the purpose and job that God is calling forth right now. I believe there is a Jehu anointed. Jehu was anointed to get a job done. It was the anointing of God that helped him. I'm saying that in this election that's coming, I'll share this down the road. We may be in a time when a man is anointed to sweep away certain altars of Baal, to shift things, to restrain Marxism and the powers of darkness, simply because he's anointed by God. I know that will create a lot of problems in people's hearts, but listen to me out to me over the next 22 days or so. Okay, I didn't get to what I wanted to go to, but tomorrow I will talk about my own story and how God led me in a profound way into the Elijah Jezebel showdown. Thanks. See you tomorrow.